Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this webinar about generating NACHA files from your SAP Business One in order to automate your bank payment process. Good morning, Luana.
Good morning, Clara.
How are you today?
Good, and you?
Good, I'm doing fine. Thank you for joining us today, Luana. Thank you for preparing this presentation. For those of you who don't know us, my name is Clara Custodio. I lead customer experience here at Consensus, and together with me today is Luana Wickert. She's a senior technical consultant here at Consensus. Luana, I was checking your profile this morning and I realized that you've been with Consensus for 6 years and a half already. And
Yes.
it seems like yesterday.
Yes.
A long time. Luana is an expert in automation. So she's not only an expert in SAP Business One, but she's an expert in enhancing SAP Business One, integrating it with other systems, integrating different companies together, and creating automation processes to make your life even easier than just by simply using SAP Business One. So if you've worked with her, you know what an honor it is to have her introduce us to one of these processes, the one that we're going to be reviewing today. Before joining Consensus, Luana, you were already working on SAP Business One and customizing SAP Business One for one of our customers, and you did that for 10 years. So just imagine 16 years of experience working with SAP Business One and making it perfect for each company. Thank you again, Luana.
You're welcome.
For being with us today. This webinar, as all the webinars that we deliver here at Consensus, is the result of an effort of the customer experience team. We always reach out to the consultancy team for help, but it's part of the resources that we want to make available for you. We want to inspire all of you users to learn and improve the use that you do of SAP Business One. So maybe we can go to the next slide, and the best source for that is our website. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I wasn't expecting this slide. But before we start with this webinar, I wanted to briefly talk to you, Luana, about what a NACHA file is, because I realize maybe not everybody is familiar with this, and we're not going to be understanding the NACHA file or analyzing it in this webinar, correct? But I just wanted to let everybody know what a NACHA file is, which is really a protocol. It's kind of like a document that triggers a batch of ACH payments when you upload it to your bank portal. That's correct, Luana?
Yeah, that's correct. Basically, NACHA is the configuration of the file. You can it has a standard where it says basically where each information needs to be inside of the file, what's the structure of the file, and everything. So NACHA is basically that configuration. But so
it's like a different language that the file talks to the bank, and the bank then receives all the ACH that you want to execute. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we're not going to be explaining NACHA files today, but we're going to be showing you how to generate those files from SAP Business One so that you can avoid doing double data entry. So if you already have all that information about your vendors and the payments and the AP invoices in your system in SAP Business One, you will be able to generate one of these files and then uploading it to the bank in a batch to make your life easier. So as I was mentioning, now we can go to the next slide. Some reminders before we get started. Everything is being recorded, so you can then later revisit this content. All participants are muted by default, but if you want to ask questions, you can use the Q&A functionality in Zoom, and we will try to get to your questions at the end of the presentation. And this webinar is part of the effort that we do to generate resources that are useful for you. And we invite you to visit our website at consensusintl.com/resources. We are producing different types of contents, and 3 very recent pages that we've created are one that help you explore all the resources that are available both in our website and at SAP official websites as well. We have also created a portal for beginners where you can onboard new users to the system. It's a basic, it includes webinars and documents that help you introduce the system to users that have never been introduced to SAP Business One before. And we've also created a new portal that is called SAP Business One Tips and Tricks. And we also invite you to visit it and let us know what you think. And now Luana and myself, we're gonna turn off our cameras. Thank you again, Luana, and we're gonna share with you Luana's presentation.
Generate the NACHA file for bank process, we'll need to do some configuration first in SAP. It will consist basically into 4 different steps. First is configuring the payment method. Second, it will be configuring the business partner, which includes assigning the payment method and entering the vendor bank information. Then we'll have to have the payment method assigned to the AP invoice, and at the end we'll generate the payment, which will lead us to the file. Okay, going then to our first step will be from administration, setup, banking, and then payment methods. We'll create a payment method. In this case, I'll call NACHA simple. Cool. The description I can give whatever I feel comfortable to identify what's the payment method. Sometimes you may like to use also the code or the description, what's the end digits of the bank account, because from here is what you identify what's the payment account you'll be using. So the payment type will be outgoing, and the payment means you'll select bank transfer. You have to select your house bank account. This means basically from what account of your company the payment will be getting out. In this case, let me get any from the sample company here. And the last step here will be on the file format for you to select the NACHA format. Once you have entered this information, you'll add your payment method. As a second step, you'll need to configure your vendors that you are going to use that payment method to pay from. As you're generating a file for your bank, this means you'll need to have all your vendor bank information to generate the transfer. So let me look into my vendor here. I'll use Acme Associates. On the payment run tab, you need to select the payment method that you created for this the NACHA payment in order to be able to select to generate this file at the end of your payment. You can have multiple payments methods for the same vendor, so you may be able to pay this vendor sometimes with checks, another times with transfers. So in this case, I'll select the payment method that we just created here. And the other step that needs to be done here, it's on the payment terms tab. You need to make sure that you enter your vendor bank information. You select the bank code, you enter the account number. For the United States, yeah, you'll use even you have this ABA routing number, Here, your ABA will go to the SWIFT code. So let me place here the number for the ABA account for this. And also another important information to select here all the way to the end, if this will be paid, this is a checking account or a saving account. This information needs also to be checked, otherwise you won't be able to generate your file. Once you enter all your vendor bank information here, the other fields you can use, but the required ones are these ones that I mentioned: bank code, account number, the ABA number under the BIC SWIFT code, and select the account type. Press update. Okay. Never forget that you need to go to the business partner main screen and press update again. The next step will be make sure that all the AP invoices, I'm going to use this NACHA payment method, have this payment method selected. So let me go to the AP invoice. Let me look here for my Acme Associates vendor. Oh, I actually gonna look for some that I already have created. Let me get one of the last invoices here that are still open. So on the accounting tab, by default, SAP will place for you here the payment method check as default on the business partner. In this case, for Acme, it was outgoing checks. That's the one that was default once when this invoice was created. You can also change it later, or you can change at the time that you're created the invoice. So in this case, you'll have here showing all payment, the different payment methods that you have selected for that vendor. I'll select our NACHA sample, that's the one that we created, and press update on this invoice. Let me try to get another invoice from this vendor too, so we can work with more than one invoice in this case. This is also open. I'm coming here, changing to NACHA sample and pressing update. Now that we have our configuration done, we have our payment method, we have configured our vendor information, we have assigned the payment method to the invoices we are paying, we are ready to generate the payment. The payment is generated from banking and then payment wizard. This is the same payment wizard used to pay by checks, or that you are used to pay other payments that you are not generating the file at the end for the bank. So you are going to first screen, you just press next. We are going to start a new payment run. On the next screen, you can place a name for your payment, a date for your payment. You just need to make sure that you select that's a bank transfer. On the following screen, on the step 3, you can select, you can filter all the vendors that you are paying. On our sample here, I'm just paying one vendor. I'm adding that specific one to the list, but I could have as many as I like, or including all vendors on my system. Let me go next. Then I can still filter by the documents I like. I can have by the posting date, the due date, the different document date, or by balances, or by document number, by blanket agreement. I'm not applying any filter here, just entering to bring basically any document. Let me press next. On the next screen, I'm going to select what are the payment methods that I like to use on this payment. It will basically, from the filters that I have used up to now, I have documents with these two payment methods. I'm actually going to use the one that we just created at the NACHA sample. And here also I can enter what can be the maximum of the outgoing payment I'll be generating. Well, my account doesn't look very good. It's like negative on this demo company, but I don't know. Let me enter here that I can pay up to 100,000 on this payment. Let me press next. So here I can expand all and see all documents where the conditions that I selected up to step 5 applies to my filters, and select what I'll be paying, in the amount I'll be paying for each document. If you remember, these are the two invoices that we assigned this specific NACHA sample payment method before for the vendor Acme. So in this case, I'll leave the whole amount to be paid. I'm going to press next. In this step, it will ask me if I like to just save my configuration, save the recommendations I did, execute payment order run. Basically, this does not execute the payment itself, and the option that I'll use to generate the payments, the outgoing payments, and then be able to generate the file here will be this the payment run. Let's go next. It's asking me for a confirmation if I really like to generate, because the outgoing payments will be generated at this point. Let me confirm. I got a confirmation that the payment was executed successfully. Okay, and here it says one payment was were added. Even we are paying two invoices, it was one vendor, so just one payment was generated, and one bank transfer were added, because again, it's just in this case, it's just one file because it's just one payment method being paid. When I'm using the payment method that it's outgoing payment, it's a bank transfer and has a file configuration attached to it, something that we did on the first step, you'll have available this bank file button here at the bottom. At this point, the payment was done only inside of SAP. And if you click here on bank file, you select first where you like to save that file, someplace on your computer. I actually gonna save here on C temp. The first time it will run a test run. Let me press create file. It will do a test run. It says that the test run finishes successfully. Then I have available here the production run. So if anything fail on the configuration, it would have failed at this point. Then let me create files. It says production run finishes successfully. Now, if I go here to my server, let me go see temp. It will create a file, a folder. I'm sorry, here. Inside of the folder, I'll have the file. This file has a NACHA configuration. If your bank uses standard NACHA configuration, this file should be enough to your bank. Okay, if you take a look, you may not identify much from this file, but this file usually is imported inside of your bank, and you'll be able to see all the payments that you did here inside of SAP on your bank side too. Now, if your bank has specific configurations that need to be to go to this file, then we definitely can help you to do a different configuration to get your probably to get some information on different location or on a different way in your file that you're going to upload to your bank. But if it's a standard NACHA, this whole configuration should be enough, and you should be able to start using uploading files to your bank.
Thank you. Thank you, Luana. That was a very good presentation. And for anyone interested in implementing this type of payment, of automated payment through ACH, the steps to follow would be send an email to us to info@consensusintl.com. We will assign a consultant to your project. At the same time, contact your bank, identify the person in charge of setting up your account to process payments through ACH using NACHA files. And once you have those two persons identified, we need to schedule a discovery meeting with the bank, with Consensus, and with yourself to define the type of file and the number of details you want to include in that file. In case the file needed is not the standard one, because of your bank requirements or because you want to add more details to the document or the payments, Consensus will then quote the number of consulting hours needed to develop your file for your approval. So if you're interested in exploring this, please send us an email and we'll contact you with the right resource inside of Consensus. We do have some questions, Luana, so if we can get to the questions, that would be great. So we have a question asking, if I want to use this process for more than one bank account, do I need to create different payment methods?
I'm sorry,
Luana, yes.
I was
Yes.
talking to myself here.
So okay.
yeah, that's correct. Correct. If you can have a payment, you can pay to multiple accounts, and for each account that you are paying or each bank you are paying, you need a different payment method.
Okay, perfect. So another question, this one may be a little bit more complicated. What happens if if something goes wrong with the bank transfer and it gets rejected?
The file, once the file implemented, some tests are run between the SAP and the bank to make sure that the configuration is correct. So if it fails, it's because some account number is not correct, some ABA number, some of those informations are not correct. So you can go back to SAP, fix that that issue on the specific vendor, and then locate your payment wizard for the payment that you did. Just go to the last step and you'll be able to generate the same file again.
Okay, thank you. Fantastic. So another question is, what banks use standard NACHA files? I don't know if we have that information, Luana.
I would assume that most of the banks use that. I can tell you that like Chase, Bank of America, 53rd, PNC, that are some banks that we have used. They do use standard NACHA files.
Okay, fantastic. We don't have any more questions right now. If you have additional questions regarding this, please send us an email and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much for attending. Again, for being here with us today. Also, if you're seeing this on a recording later on. If you have time, please take 2 minutes and rate this webinar and the content. We're really working to improve our programs, and we want to provide you with content that is useful to you. So you will be prompted to rate this webinar, and we really appreciate your feedback. For anything else, please contact us through info@consensusintl.com or give us a call. We're always happy to help. Thank you again, Luana, for being here with us today.
You're
and
welcome.
for the great presentation. And thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.